didn't want any of this.
Fuck are you?
Just some dude.
The Toxic Avenger reimagines a cult classic with modern stakes, emotional depth, and a sharper edge than audiences have ever seen before. Instead of simply remaking the campy, over-the-top story that made the original famous, this new version transforms the narrative into something that feels both relevant and intensely personal. The world hasn't changed much since the first. Toxic Avenger stepped out of the shadows of polluted suburbia. Toxic waste still leaks into streams. Forgotten industrial landscapes rot under corporate greed. And every day people feel powerless against systems that treat profit as more valuable than life. This film recognizes that fear and frustration and turns them into something unstoppable. The core of the film is a hero who doesn't want to be a hero before fate makes him monstrous. He is a sympathetic figure whose imperfections are not just flaws but the essence of his humanity. He might be clumsy, awkward, overlooked by classmates, ignored by neighbors, and dismissed by society, the kind of person whose kindness is invisible until something breaks within him. When the waste that has poisoned everyone else finds its way into him, it does something unexpected. Instead of destroying him completely, it rebuilds him. But it pushes him beyond the edges of what is familiar or comfortable. This transformation becomes a mirror. What society discards can still rise up and demand justice. The mutation does not turn him into a clean-cut superhero. He becomes something terrifying, grotesque, and powerful, yes, but also fiercely protective. His strength is overwhelming, breaking through walls and smashing what has been built on exploitation, but his heart remains tethered to the people he grew up with. He becomes a force of nature, unpredictable yet purposeful, shaped by rage against injustice and compassion for the vulnerable. The film understands that monsters are often born from the mistakes of others, and this Toxic Avenger is no exception. His anger is righteous because it is a response to pain that has gone unanswered for too long. As the story unfolds, the world around him becomes a character in its own right. The dirty streets are not merely background. They reflect systemic corruption. Crumbling neighborhoods and abandoned factories are symbols of forgotten people. Water that should flow clean is tainted, and air that should carry laughter carries despair. In this environment, the Toxic Avenger is not a freak. He is the most honest thing left, a direct result of negligence, greed, and apathy. His existence forces people to confront the consequences of all they have ignored, but this is not a story of indiscriminate violence. At its heart, it is about identity and choice. The Toxic Avenger can rage against everything, or he can choose to protect those who still believe in goodness. Some moments of the film show him wrestling with this choice, standing in the ruins of what once was, asking himself whether anger can build anything worth living in. He learns that destruction without purpose leads only to more sorrow. Protecting others gives him a new definition of strength, not dominance, but guardianship. The film's supporting characters enrich this emotional journey. There are friends from his past who remember him as a gentle soul before transformation. Their faces show disbelief, fear, and hope, sometimes all at once, because they see what others cannot, the man beneath the mutation. These relationships ground the story and remind the audience why heroism must be personal before it can be universal. Every time he saves someone, it is more than an act of physical strength. It is a reclamation of connection. Contrasting the Avengers' humanity are antagonists whose cruelty stems from ambition rather than survival. They are not monsters shaped by society's mistakes. They are architects of corruption who wear suits and make deals in boardrooms while pollution pours out of smokestacks. Their evil is quiet, systematic, and invisible until it is not. The Toxic Avenger's emergence turns what was hidden into something tangible. Where once people whispered about injustice, now they see consequences in flesh and blood. The emotional core of the film unfolds through the Avenger's transformation from shame to acceptance. Initially horrified by what he has become, he hides in shadows, fearing rejection and misunderstanding. But as innocent people suffer in silence, he discovers that his monstrous form gives voice to their pain. He begins to understand that courage does not require perfection. It requires willingness to stand when others cannot. This internal shift carries the story from simple anger to meaningful purpose. As the action escalates, the world watches the Toxic Avenger through a lens of fear and fascination. Some worship him as a myth come to life, a symbol of resistance against tyranny. Others see him as a threat to order, something that must be contained or eliminated before chaos spreads. This conflict mirrors real societal divides where fear often outweighs. Empathy and misunderstanding becomes justification for violence. The film challenges audiences to question who the real monster is. The one who protects the vulnerable or the one who profits from their suffering. The pacing of the narrative balances extreme spectacle with quiet introspection. There are moments of explosive confrontation with corrupt forces, battles that shake cityscapes and challenge every limit of physics. But between these sequences are scenes of stillness where the Avenger stands at the edge of polluted rivers, watching currents that should be clean, contemplating what justice truly means. These quieter moments make his rage feel earned rather than theatrical. Visually, the film does not shy away from grit. The world he inhabits is dirty not as an aesthetic choice alone, but as a reminder that beauty often hides beneath neglect. Every alleyway and broken sidewalk tells a story of lives interrupted, dreams deferred, and communities abandoned. But even the grime glows under moments of resolve. These are places heroes rise from, not pristine stages erected by praise. The soundtrack reflects this duality as well. It moves between harsh industrial rhythms during chaos and softer, poignant melodies during moments of reflection. There are sequences where the music fades entirely, allowing the raw sound of rain falling on cracked pavement or distant sirens, chasing hope through night to shape the emotional landscape. Sound becomes as expressive as imagery, giving weight to every choice and consequence. One of the most compelling elements of the story is its examination of *** transformation as identity, not anomaly ***. The Toxic Avenger's mutation is not just a physical change. It forces him to reconsider who he is and what he stands for. He loses a familiar self only to discover a truer one waiting beneath layers of insecurity and fear. In shedding what he was, he does not become something less human. He becomes something more connected to the struggle of others. As the conflict nears its climax, the opposing forces escalate their tactics. Corrupt leaders mobilize private armies. Propaganda spreads fear about the Avenger's existence, and public opinion shifts like wind over poisoned fields. In response, the Avenger must inspire courage not through words but through deeds. He becomes a living testament to the idea that change rises from resilience, not resignation. The final confrontation is both physical and symbolic. It takes place not in a throne room or a hidden lair, but in a community that has endured terrible loss. It is here that the Toxic Avenger stands not above others but alongside them, defending not territory but dignity. Every swing, every roar, every act of protection is a rejection of the idea that the forgotten must stay forgotten. In the aftermath, the world is forever changed. The Toxic Avenger does not vanish into legend. He remains a visible reminder that compassion and justice cannot be separated. People begin to reclaim spaces once given up as lost, and what was once discarded becomes foundation for healing. The film suggests that transformation is not just about power unlocked, but about responsibility embraced beyond spectacle and action. The Toxic Avenger upcoming movie becomes an emotional journey about confronting the consequences of apathy, recognizing the worth of every individual, and understanding that monsters are not born from darkness alone, they are forged by choices left unchallenged. In the end, this film leaves audiences with the idea that even the most unlikely hero can rise from the shadows, not to entertain, but to remind us that justice belongs to the courageous and hope belongs to those who refuse to be invisible.